Okay, just started to get ready to post the other video I just did when I just got this message on my Facebook. Somebody asking me if I could do a video on marriage. Newlyweds, well, not so new anymore. They've been married 6 months and the honeymoon phase is over. She's struggling with the thought of it. Let me get comfortable here. Okay. Anyway, the best advice I can give is get rid of the idea of the fantasy. Marriage is hard work. It's not easy, and there's going to be times you are going to hate your spouse. Like, you're ready to divorce them. Some days you're thinking about all those cartoons of the wife chasing the husband with the frying pan and thinking that's probably a good idea, and it's not so funny because you really want to do it. There's going to be those times. Not everything is that Disney fairy tale. If you have a marriage like that, you really have to wonder what's going on in your marriage. Because a healthy marriage will have fights. Means you're working together. You're everything else. It just, a good healthy marriage has good enough communication that you guys can argue and fight and then come back together and still love each other. So, the best thing I can think of is what I had heard long before I had even met my husband. It was on a radio show, and this woman was like 98 years old. She had just lost her husband like 2 years earlier. Hold on 1 minute. Oh, allergies are kicking my butt. I had to sneeze. Didn't want to do that to you guys. Anyway. So 98-year-old woman, she married her high school sweetheart, like right out of high school. They had been together. She had like some almost 30 grandkids and like 15 great-grandkids. It was crazy. The whole family just was like getting married early and having babies young and all that crazy stuff. So even she had 8 kids. That's a lot of kids. My goodness. Big family. But she said there's a few things that you gotta decide before you get married. One was, what are the things that drive you nuts about them? Now really look at each thing and decide, is it something you can live with, or is it something that really needs to stop being that way? For example, when I met Chris, he's a smoker. And I'm like anti-smoker, but I fell hard and I fell fast for him. The minute I met him, I mean, I don't believe necessarily in love at first sight, but immediately, and I'm kind of a shy person, so for me to right away be comfortable with him and feel like I've known him forever, there was an instant attraction. Everything about him, I mean, mentally, physically, emotionally, everything, it just clicked right into place. It was kind of like we were meant to be. But he was a smoker. That was a big thing. And then the longer I dated him, the more I realized there's other traits that he has that are not so desirable. Like, he has no filter, for one. He brags, and I'm not going to use the term he uses, but, you know, to keep it G-rated, brags about being a jerk. He says what's on his mind, and he says it exactly how it comes to mind. He's not politically correct. He doesn't use the best language. He speaks his mind, stands his ground, whatever you want to call it. He says it how it is. Something looks stupid on you, he's going to tell you it looks stupid. If he thinks, you know, he's like, okay, he's a Republican. He is pro-gun. He's pro-life. He is anti-gay. He's a Christian man, and he stands his ground. You know, he's very conservative. And if you say something dumb, he's going to tell you it's dumb, and he's going to tell you why it's dumb, and he's going to call you dumb, and it's just the way he is. But I had to make that decision. Which one of those things can I not, what can I live with and which can I not live with? So for almost 6 years now, well, 6 years dating, but 5 years together, married, We've been fighting on and off about the smoking. He finally has picked up this vapor stuff and is starting to really actually enjoy it, to where the cigarettes are almost non-existent anymore. But he still has no filter. And over the years, I've just come to learn that that's just who he is. And it's something that I've kind of just let go and let him be who he is. I'm a little more of a pushover than he is, and so we're kind of a good match because I'm not really that way, whereas he is, so he kind of stands ground for both of us. He's kind of taught me to stand my own ground a little better. So, there's good and there's bad. But it's one of those things that I decided I either love him for the way he is, the way he was created, or I start making all these changes and take away who he is and who he's created to be. And being a big jerk is just who he is. It's his personality. The smoker, that's a bad habit, and it's an unhealthy habit. I'm allergic to tobacco. It turned out 2 of our kids out of the 3 are very allergic to tobacco. One so much so that her anaphylactic shock leads to seizures. So he just has to quit. If he wants us around, he's got to quit because he's making us all sick. So yeah, so there's that. Get the idea that the fantasy, the happy ending, that woodland creatures are going to clean your house, that fairy godmothers are there at your beck and call, all that stuff, get it out of your head. That's all Disney. They make money on that for a reason. It's not so much little girls and little boys that fall into those traps. It's the mommies that are sitting there that have to watch that with them going, I wish I had married Prince Charming. There's no such thing as Prince Charming. Prince Charming is a lot like the guy in Into the Woods, where he's this great looking guy, he can sing, and he's super brave, and he can sword fight and stuff, but meanwhile he's off, flirting with the other gal down the street because, hey, she's there, and he's attractive, and she's attractive, and why not? Prince Charming isn't the best. He's overly charming with everyone, and nobody wants that. It's better to, pick the guy that's a little more humble and, is going to be reliable and trustworthy and faithful, and someone like that. Men are not the way they are in movies. They're not Edward in Twilight. They're not, the dark, mysterious guy that is going to do these crazy romantic things and be solely devoted to you and protective and things like that, which they may be while you're dating. Minute you get married, no. Chris was a totally different person when we were dating, and it's changed a lot since we got married. But once you get past all those thoughts and ideas and realize it's just a fantasy, and this is a real life person, I'm seeing the real side of them, then you start really looking at, what about them do I love? Are the things about them I like, do they outweigh the bad? Now, if you're in an abusive relationship, whether it's verbally, mentally, physically, emotionally, however, you really need to take a step back, and you deserve better. If they're not willing to go to counseling and things like that, then you really need to maybe think about moving on, because you're better than that. If you're the person being that abusive one, you need to step back and take, some time and think, do I really love this person enough for me to change and not be this way? Because they deserve better than that. And I should want to give them more than that. But if you're in a basic relationship that everybody's in, guys are going to pick their noses. They're going to have their hands down their pants every 5 minutes. I swear every guy I've ever been with, his fingers either up his nose or down his pants. That's just the way they are. I have 2 little brothers. I have a son. My dad, every guy I've ever met, I'm sure does it, because I'm pretty sure, like 90% of the ones that I've been around, I've seen them do one or the other. And a lot of guys will, they sniff their hand after they scratch themselves. Oh my gosh. Or they eat their boogers. No. Okay, guys are disgusting. Just, get over it. Just try not to think about it when they go to kiss you. Maybe say, hey, go brush your teeth, or don't hold my hand until after you wash your hands. You can train part of that out of them. They're still going to do it. But they're going to be a little more conscious of it. Guys are going to forget anniversaries and things like that, unless they're just one of those really great guys that are just really into that stuff. Those are few and far between, and usually married to another man. I've not met a single straight man that can keep all that stuff in his mind and think cute little romantic things, at least once he got married. When they're dating, they're great at that. They remember, we've been together a week, we've been together a month, and then you've been together for 10 years married, and he's forgotten your birthday again, and your marriage day, your anniversary. It's late at night. Anyway, but let go of the fantasy, girls. The best thing you can do is focus on you. Learning to be more patient. If he out of nowhere decides to put the dishes away and he puts the bowls in the wrong cabinet or in the wrong spot, doesn't put the forks away the way you like them or stuff like that, don't go back in and tell him how to do it. Don't go back in and redo it yourself when you think he's not looking. Just deal with it, because it makes him feel important. And just make a comment, maybe saying, hey, honey, thank you so much for helping me with the dishes. That, is huge. Because guys thrive on that. Just like you do. If your husband comes up and says, wow, thank you for doing, such an awesome job on dinner. I know you have to feed us, but that, that was awesome. You want those compliments. So, give those compliments back. And don't nag him to death about how he did it or what he did. Focus on really praying for your husband. Because the only person who can really work on their heart is God. And I don't know where your faith stands on this video, but, God is really the only one that can, push on their heart and say, hey, look, you have an amazing woman in your life. Step it up. So, if they're not spending time with you 24 hours a day, it's okay. They have a life. So do you. You wouldn't want somebody clingy and hanging off of you every 2 seconds. You want to go hang out with your girlfriends and things like that. So does he. Give him a chance to relax. When he gets home from work, let him sleep. Let him sit back and watch TV. Just chill. Anyway, love you.